أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in Allah against shaitan, the rejected. I begin with the name of Allah, eternal source of mercy and grace. I greet you with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you. Last week we touched upon, or we introduced this session of unlocking, and it's going to consist of a few parts where we cover the truths of the prophets of Allah. So before we proceed into tonight's session, there's one essential point I'd like to revise, and that is, what is the purpose for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealing to us the stories of the prophets of Allah? Anyone, what do you think the purpose is?
For lessons.
Okay, and can you remember the verse? There's an easy way of remembering it. There's an easy way of remembering it. What's the most beautiful story in the Quran? Surah Yusuf. So you go to Surah Yusuf and you look at the last section in Surah Yusuf. Can everyone do that? Surah Yusuf is Surah number 12.
Page 164.
Okay. Can anyone find the verse? Can someone read it for us?
There's 164, right? Triple one.
Triple one, is that the verse? Okay.
There is in their stories instruction for men endured with understanding. It is not a tale invented, but a confirmation of what went before it. A detailed exposition of all things and a guide and a mercy to any such as believe.
Alhamdulillah. So there you go. It's the last verse of the Ahsan al-Qasas. Now you know what a story is in Arabic? A story is Qasas, right? You know, we all, I can show you out in those. We read in the years going by, we read the book Qasas al-Anbiya, or we heard the book Qasas al-Anbiya. That's where it comes from, Qasas, right? So you look at the Ahsan al-Qasas, which is Surah Yusuf, last verse of Surah Yusuf, and you find it there. Give you another verse, easy to remember as well. So Surah Yusuf, you've been to Surah Yusuf, that's 12. We go to the Surah before. That's number 11. Right? Look at the last few verses there. See if you can find that verse. Anyone think you can find that verse?
120.
120? Good. Can someone read that for us? I want one of the ladies to read. We're going to have a bit of balance here. Page 154.
Verse 120.
120.
120, please. Yeah. Speak up.
All that we relate to you of the stories of the prophets with it, we make firm your heart. In them there comes to you the truth, as well as exploration and a message of remembrance to those who believe.
Okay, so there you go. Right, very easy to remember. Someone asks you, what is the purpose of the stories in the Quran? You go to Ahsan al-Qasas, you go to the most beautiful story, that's in Surah Yusuf, last verse, and then you tell yourself, what's the chapter before that? You go to about the last verse in that chapter as well. So Surah 11 and Surah 12 gives you the answer of why Allah has revealed these stories. What's also interesting is that Allah tells us in these verses, وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي It's مَا كَانَ حَدِيثًا يُفْتَرَى. It is not a tale fabricated. It is al-haq, it is the truth. So what's given to us in the Quran about the stories is the truth, the absolute truth. And this is what we are here to seek, is what is the absolute truth about these stories. Now, a few lessons ago, maybe a year ago or so, we did Quran 101 and 102, and we did something called tasrif and tafsir, where we spoke about how to interpret and analyze the Quran. And what we learned from that was that the Quran explains itself in various places, in different ways, and you've got to put the whole of the Quran together before you come to a conclusion. So if you're taking any subject, whether it's a law of divorce or a story from the Quran, you won't find it, with the lone exception of Surah Yusuf, all of it contained in one particular surah. For example, Surah Talaq. Surah Talaq is the surah of divorce, but not all of the laws of divorce are contained in that surah. You've got to search the text of the Quran, and that's the style of the Quran. And tonight we're going to see that coming to realization, where Brother Nasiruddin, who will be presenting tonight's talk on Adam alayhi salam, will be discussing the first story of the first prophet, and it's Adam alayhi salam, and Brother Nasiruddin will be discussing it. But through his discussion, you'll see how he refers to the different verses, put them together, and get not just the story, but the lessons from the stories. So if you just focus on this as a story, like, a normal fairy tale, we're going to achieve nothing out of it, because the purpose of this is to extract lessons, and this is what we're going to attempt to do tonight, inshallah, and in the lessons to come. So without further ado, let me call upon Brother Nasiruddin to deliver his talk. Jazakallah, Brother Nasiruddin, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to tonight's first presentation of the series entitled The Truth of the Prophets. Today's presentation is about Adam alayhi salam. But before I begin with the narrative as it is explained in the Quran, I would like to take you back to a time before the universe was created. I'm sure that many of you at some point in your life might have pondered over the question of why we were created on earth, what was the purpose for us being put here, and what was Allah's divine plan for us. In all of these questions, in most cases, we don't have any clear answers. But what I'm going to tell you may shed some light, or it might change your perception of the reason why we are here. Let us see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His great plan, wanted to create this universe and put on this earth a vicegerent or a representative that would carry out His will in accordance with His divine plan. And so, He offered this position to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they refused it because the task at hand was perhaps too daunting for them. And so mankind, at a time when he was one single soul, accepted this challenge. Allah says in the Quran, Inna aradna al-amanata ala samawati wal-ardi wal-jibali fa-abayna ay yahmilnaha wa ashfaqna minha wa hamlaha al-insan innahu kana zaluman jahula. This translates to, from Surah Ahzab, verse 72, we did indeed offer the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, but they refused to undertake it, being afraid thereof. But man undertook it, or mankind as one unit undertook it. He was indeed unjust and foolish. You can ponder, perhaps that will resonate with you right now. It's clear from this Quranic injunction that mankind played a significant role in the decision for him being here. Maybe you don't realize it or you can't remember. But we can at least conclude from this that we were not arbitrarily put on this earth. Furthermore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah 7 verse 178, when thy Lord drew forth from the children of Adam, from their loins, their ancestors, their descendants, and made them testify concerning themselves, saying, am I not your Lord, your cherisher, and your sustainer? They said, this is mankind said, yea, we do testify. And Allah reminds you, lest you should say on the day of judgment, that of this you were never mindful. I think that clears up a whole new perception as to why we were put here on earth. I'd be very surprised if somebody said, oh yeah, now I remember. We probably wouldn't, okay? But the lesson here is that, of course, we will be presented with evidence on the day of judgment as to the covenant that we undertook. what these verses are saying is that we had this agreement with Allah, and I'm sure you agree that Allah won't lie to us. Okay? This is the truth. And so the narrative begins. After all this universe was created, the planets were put in place. One fine day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the angels, I will create a vicegerent on earth. They said, this is the angel said, wilt thou place therein one who will make mischief and shed blood therein, whilst we do celebrate thy praises and glorify thy holy name? He said, this is Allah said, I know what you know not. And he taught Adam the nature of all things. Then he placed him before the angels and said, tell me the nature of these, if you are right. They said, glory to thee of knowledge we have none, save what thou hast taught us. In truth, it is thou who art perfect in knowledge and wisdom. He said to Adam, tell them their natures. When he had told them, Allah said, did I not tell you that I know the secrets of the heavens and the earth, and I know what you reveal and what you conceal? So this demonstration to the angels about man's gift of intelligence that Allah had endowed him with was really a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the angels. We said to the angels, bow down to Adam. And they bowed down. Not so Iblis. He refused and was haughty. He was of those who reject faith. Now at this stage, I just want to clear up a little misconception. I'd like to point out that the angels by nature were not and are not disobedient to Allah. But when Allah gave the command to the angels, Iblis happened to be amongst them. And as it turned out, they bowed, but Iblis didn't. Then Allah asked, what prevented thee from bowing when I commanded thee? He, Iblis, said, I am better than he. Thou didst create me from fire and him from clay. Allah said, get thee down from this. It is not for thee to be arrogant here. Get out, for thou art of the meanest of creatures. Consequently, when Shaitan refused to bow to Adam alayhi salam, Allah expelled him from the garden. He then blamed Allah for getting him out. And he asked Allah for respite till the day of judgment, which Allah gave him. He, Iblis, said, because thou hast thrown me out of the way, lo, I will lie in wait for them on thy straight way. Then will I assault them from before them and behind them, from their right and their left. Nor wilt thou find in most of them gratitude for thy mercies. Was Shaitan correct? Seems so. Allah says in Surah 15, after he had granted Shaitan respite, he offers his servants protection as well. He didn't leave us in the lurch. He says to Shaitan, for over my servants, no authority shalt thou have, and this is very important, except those that put themselves in the wrong and follow thee. So it's clear from this that we are not defaulting to evil doing. We make a conscious choice when this happens. And for that, Allah doesn't offer you protection. But if you follow His guidance, as His command says, then He has made sure that evil cannot overpower you. Now we progress to the story where Adam alayhi salam and his wife were in the garden. We said, O Adam, dwell thou and thy wife in the garden, and eat of the bountiful things therein, as and where and when you will. But approach not this tree, or you run into harm and transgression. Then did Satan make them slip from the garden, and get them out of the state of felicity in which they had been. We said, get you down, all you people, with enmity between yourselves. On earth will be your dwelling place, and your means of livelihood for a time. The situation in the garden is further described in a bit more detail in Surah Taha, chapter 20, verses 117 to 119. Then we said, O Adam, verily this is an enemy to thee and thy wife, so let him not get you both out of the garden, so that thou art landed in misery. There is enough provision for thee not to go hungry, nor to go naked, nor to suffer from thirst, nor from the sun's heat. But Satan whispered evil to him. He said, O Adam, shall I lead thee to the tree of eternity, and to a kingdom that never decays? As a result, they both ate of the tree, and so their nakedness appeared to them. They began to sew together for their covering leaves from the garden. Thus did Adam disobey his Lord, and allow himself to be seduced. But nevertheless, we know that Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. He is oft forgiving, most merciful. And then learned Adam from his Lord words of inspiration. And his Lord turned towards him, for he is oft returning, most merciful. We said, get you down all from here, and if, as is sure, there comes to you guidance from me, whosoever follows my guidance, on them shall be no fear, nor shall be grief. But those who reject faith and belie our signs, they shall be companions of the fire, they shall abide therein. In conclusion, I'd like to say that there are many lessons from the injunctions that I have just narrated to you. I have listed a few here of my own, but you can also come up during our question and answer session if you like. The first lesson for me was that Satan or Shaitan is our eternal enemy, that we know. Wrongdoing, he is always made to look enticing to us. The first sin that was committed was the sin of arrogance. The door of forgiveness, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is always open. And no harm can come to you from evil except if you put yourself in the wrong and follow Shaitan. Jazakallah. That concludes my short lesson or presentation if you want. I thank you for listening to me, and perhaps we can now open the floor for questions and discussion if there is enough time.